The rain had already soaked through Jenna Zimmerman's jacket by the time she noticed the elderly man lying motionless on the sidewalk outside the downtown library, and she dropped to her knees without thinking twice about the puddle forming beneath him. "Sir, can you hear me?" She pressed 2 fingers to his neck, relieved to find a steady pulse. His breathing was shallow but present. Her years volunteering at the hospital kicked in as she quickly assessed him for obvious injuries while pulling out her phone to dial 911. The man's eyelids fluttered. "My medication," he whispered hoarsely, his weathered hand reaching toward the canvas bag that had spilled beside him. Orange prescription bottles rolled across the wet concrete. Jenna gathered them quickly, reading labels with increasing concern. Blood pressure medication, heart pills, insulin. "Don't try to move. Help is coming." She shrugged off her soaked jacket and bundled it under his head, rain plastering her brown hair to her face. A black car pulled up to the curb so fast its tires squealed. The door flew open and a man stepped out, tall and broad-shouldered, his expensive suit getting drenched immediately. His dark eyes locked onto the scene with an intensity that made Jenna's breath catch. "Walter." He was beside them in 3 strides, dropping down with no regard for his clothes. "What happened?" "I don't know. I found him like this," Jenna explained quickly. "Pulse is steady. I think he might have had a diabetic episode or his blood pressure dropped. The ambulance is coming." The stranger's jaw was tight with worry as he looked at the older man with obvious affection. "He's been forgetting to eat lunch. I should have checked on him earlier." His voice carried the weight of guilt and something deeper, real fear of loss. "You know him. He's my friend, my mentor." The man met her eyes properly for the first time, and Jenna felt something shift in her chest. Rain dripped from his dark hair, and there was a vulnerability in his expression that seemed at odds with his commanding presence. "Thank you for stopping. Most people wouldn't have." "Most people aren't studying to be nurses," Jenna said, managing a small smile despite the situation. The ambulance arrived within minutes, and the stranger rode with Walter while Jenna gave her statement to the paramedics. She was turning to leave when the man jogged back to her, rain still pouring down. "I'm Carter Wright." He extended his hand, and when she shook it, his grip was warm and firm despite the cold rain. "I didn't get your name." "Jenna Zimmerman." "Jenna." He said it like he was committing it to memory. "I need to go with Walter to the hospital, but I'd like to thank you properly for what you did." "Can I get your number?" She hesitated. He was clearly wealthy based on that suit and the way he carried himself, probably way out of her league, but there was something genuine in his eyes that made her pull out her phone. "Sure." They exchanged numbers quickly before he had to leave, and Jenna walked home in the rain feeling strangely lighter despite being thoroughly soaked. 3 days passed before her phone rang with an unknown number. Jenna was elbow-deep in flour attempting to bake bread for her roommate's birthday when she fumbled for her phone with one clean knuckle. "Jenna, it's Carter Wright. From the other day," her heart jumped. "How's Walter?" "Much better, thanks to you. He's home now with strict orders to actually eat his meals." Carter's voice was warm. "Listen, I meant what I said about thanking you. Would you let me take you to dinner?" Jenna glanced down at her flour-covered clothes and the disaster zone that was her tiny apartment kitchen. "You don't have to do that. I'm glad I could help. I know I don't have to, I want to." There was something in his tone that made her stomach flip. "Please." She found herself saying yes before she could overthink it. 2 days later, Jenna stood in front of her closet having a minor crisis. Her roommate Monica was sprawled on her bed, offering commentary, the blue dress. Definitely the blue one. "Is it too much?" He said casual. When rich guys say casual, they mean a different kind of casual. Monica pointed at the navy dress that was Jenna's nicest piece of clothing. "Trust me." Jenna changed, grateful when Monica was right. Carter picked her up in that same black car, now driven by someone else, and he looked devastatingly handsome in dark jeans and a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up. The casual look somehow made him even more attractive. "You look beautiful," he said, and the way he looked at her made her believe it. The restaurant was nice but not ostentatious, Italian with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. They started talking and didn't stop. Carter asked about her nursing program, genuinely interested in her classes and her work at the hospital. She learned he ran a construction company, something he'd built from the ground up after working with Walter, who'd been a foreman and taught him everything. "Walter doesn't have any family," Carter explained, his expression softening. "He kind of became mine. When my dad died, Walter stepped in, taught me about construction, about business, about being a decent man." He paused, swirling his wine. Seeing him on that sidewalk, knowing I could have lost him, Jenna reached across the table, touching his hand. "But you didn't. He's okay." Carter turned his hand over, threading his fingers through hers. The contact sent warmth up her arm. "Because of you, I'm just glad I was there." "You're more than just glad, you're incredible." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "The way you handled everything, so calm and capable, and you stayed with him, a complete stranger in the rain." Jenna felt her cheeks warm. Anyone would have. No, they wouldn't have. His gaze was intense. "Believe me." The dinner stretched into hours. They ordered dessert just to keep sitting there, talking about everything and nothing. Carter told her about growing up working construction summers, about the satisfaction of building something with his own hands. Jenna shared stories about her family, her parents' farm upstate, her decision to move to the city for nursing school. When he drove her home, he walked her to her door despite the late hour. "I'd like to see you again," Carter said, his hands in his pockets like he was restraining himself. "Soon." "I'd like that too." He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull back, and kissed her cheek. It was chaste and sweet and left her wanting more. "Good night, Jenna." She floated into her apartment where Monica was waiting with an eager expression. "Well." "I think I'm in trouble," Jenna admitted, touching her cheek where his lips had been. They fell into a pattern over the following weeks. Carter would text her good morning every day, sometimes with a terrible construction pun that made her laugh during her hospital rotations. They saw each other whenever their schedules aligned: coffee before her early shifts, late dinners after his site inspections, walks through the park on Sunday mornings. Jenna learned that, despite his success, Carter still spent time on job sites, checking work and talking to his crews. He knew most of them by name, asked about their families. She saw the respect they had for him, the way he commanded attention without demanding it. One evening, 6 weeks into whatever they were building together, Carter invited her to dinner at his place. Jenna knew he had money, she'd gathered that much, but she wasn't prepared for the penthouse apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "You cooked?" she asked, surprised by the delicious smells coming from the kitchen. "Don't sound so shocked." He grinned, leading her inside. "Walter taught me, said I needed to know how to feed myself." Dinner was simple but perfect: grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, homemade bread that was better than her attempt had been. They ate at his dining table, the city lights twinkling below them. "I need to tell you something," Carter said after they'd finished eating. He looked nervous, which was unusual for him. "About my company." Jenna's stomach tightened. Here it comes, she thought. The girlfriend, the secret family, something. "Wright Construction is bigger than I've let on." He ran his hand through his hair. "We're not just local. We do commercial developments across the entire Northeast. High-rises, hotels, office complexes." She waited, not understanding why he looked so worried. "I'm not just comfortable, Jenna. I'm a millionaire, several times over." The words came out in a rush. "I didn't tell you because when I met you, when you helped Walter, you didn't know who I was. You just saw someone who needed help. And then, when we started seeing each other, you liked me, just me. Not my money or my company or what I could do for you." Jenna processed this, her mind spinning. "How much money are we talking about? Enough that I don't have to work another day in my life, but I do anyway because I love what I do." He searched her face. "Does it change things?" She thought about it honestly. Did it change how she felt about the man who texted her terrible puns? Who visited Walter every week? Who insisted on walking on the street side of the sidewalk and remembered how she took her coffee? "No," she said finally, "but you could have told me sooner." The relief on his face was palpable. "I know, I'm sorry, I just wanted you to know me first." "I do know you." She stood, walking around the table to him. "I know you're kind and loyal and you work too hard. I know you worry about the people who matter to you. I know you always order dessert even though you say you're too full." She touched his face. "The money doesn't change any of that." Carter pulled her into his lap, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You're amazing, you know that? You might have mentioned it once or twice." She was grinning now, the tension broken. He kissed her then, really kissed her for the first time, and it felt like something clicking into place. Like finding something she hadn't known she was looking for. 3 months into their relationship, Jenna met Carter's crew at a company barbecue. Walter was there, healthy and smiling, and he pulled her into a hug that lifted her off her feet. "You're the girl who saved my life," he said, his eyes misty. "I just called 911, Jenna protested. "You stayed. You kept me calm." Walter looked at Carter, who was manning the grill nearby. "And you gave this stubborn fool a reason to smile like that." Carter did look happy, she realized. Relaxed in a way she suspected he rarely was, flipping burgers and laughing with his workers. He caught her eye and winked, and her heart did that flip it always did. The afternoon was perfect, good food, warm weather, easy conversation. Jenna talked to the wives and girlfriends, feeling welcomed immediately. She helped serve food, refilled drinks, and felt Carter's eyes on her throughout, warm and appreciative. "You fit with them," he said later as they cleaned up after everyone had left. "With my people. They're good people." Jenna tied off a garbage bag. "You've built something really special here, Carter. It's not just a company, it's a family." He set down the plates he was carrying and pulled her close. "I want you to be part of it, part of my life permanently," her breath caught. "Carter, I'm not proposing, not yet." His smile was gentle. "But I'm telling you that's where this is heading for me. I'm falling in love with you, Jenna." "Actually, I think I already have." Tears pricked her eyes. "I love you too." The kiss was long and sweet, and when they finally pulled apart, both were smiling. The following weeks brought challenges. Jenna's nursing school finals consumed her time, and Carter had a major project launch that had him working 16-hour days. They stole moments when they could, Carter bringing her coffee during study sessions, Jenna packing him dinners he could eat at his desk. One particularly rough night, Jenna called him at 11 crying. "I'm going to fail this exam. I don't understand the material and I've read it 10 times and nothing is sticking." "Hey, breathe." Carter's voice was calm and steady. "What's the subject?" "Pharmacology. Drug interactions and contraindications, and I can't keep them straight." "Okay, get a piece of paper." "Carter, you can't help with this. You don't know medicine." "No, but I know about systems and how things work together. Humor me." For the next hour, he had her draw out the drug families like they were construction projects, organizing them in ways that suddenly made sense. By the time they hung up, Jenna felt calmer and more confident. "You're brilliant," she told him. "Nah, you just needed a different angle. You're going to ace this." She did ace it. And when results came back, she was at the top of her class. Carter's big project launch was equally stressful. A hotel development that would make or break Wright Construction's expansion into Manhattan. Jenna showed up at his office at midnight with takeout and refused to leave until he'd eaten. "You're supposed to be sleeping," Carter protested, but he was already reaching for the food. "And you're supposed to be taking care of yourself." She sat across from him. "Eat, talk to me." He told her about the stress, the investors breathing down his neck, the contractor who'd quit last minute. Jenna listened, asked questions, let him vent. Sometimes that was all someone needed. "Thank you," he said quietly when he'd finished the food, "for being here. Where else would I be?" The project launched successfully. The hotel was beautiful, modern, and elegant, and Carter's company got contracts for 3 more buildings in the city. At the celebration party, Jenna wore a red dress that made Carter's eyes darken appreciatively. "Dance with me," he said, leading her onto the floor. They swayed together and Jenna felt eyes on them. This was his world: wealthy developers, city officials, investors. She was just a nursing student in a borrowed dress. "Stop," Carter murmured in her ear. "Stop what? Doubting yourself." You belong here. He pulled back to look at her. You belong with me. These people, this money, none of it matters. You do. She relaxed into him, letting the doubts fade. Summer came, and with it Jenna's graduation from nursing school. Carter was in the front row, cheering louder than anyone when she walked across the stage. He'd flown her parents down as a surprise, and Jenna cried when she saw them. You did this, she asked Carter, who looked pleased with himself. Couldn't let them miss their daughter becoming a nurse. He shook her father's hand, hugged her mother. I'm Carter Wright. It's an honor to finally meet you both. Jenna watched him charm her parents over dinner, answering her father's pointed questions with honest, direct answers. Her mother kept giving her meaningful looks, and Jenna knew exactly what she was thinking. That night, after her parents had gone to their hotel and the celebration had wound down, Carter took Jenna to the construction site of his latest project. It was a residential building, nearly complete, and he had keys to the security gate. Where are we going? Jenna followed him up the scaffolded entrance. You'll see. They took the construction elevator to the top floor. Carter led her through an unfinished apartment to a balcony that overlooked the entire city. The view was breathtaking. This is incredible, Jenna breathed. I wanted to show you something I built. Carter stood behind her, his arms around her waist. This building is going to house 100 families. People who'll make memories here, grow up here, live their lives here. That's what I love about this work. I get to create spaces where life happens. Jenna leaned back against him. It's meaningful, what you do. So is what you do. Saving lives, helping people. You're going to be an amazing nurse, Jenna. I start at St. Mary's next week. She turned in his arms. Pediatric floor. Those kids are lucky to have you. He kissed her forehead. I'm lucky to have you. They stood there watching the city lights, and Jenna felt a contentment she'd never experienced before. This man, this moment, this feeling of being exactly where she was supposed to be, starting work was harder than Jenna expected. The hours were long, the work emotionally draining, and she came home most nights exhausted and overwhelmed. Carter was patient, letting her decompress, holding her when she cried about losing a patient for the first time. A little boy, she sobbed into his chest. He was only 6. And I couldn't help him. You did everything you could. Carter's hand stroked her hair. Sometimes that's not enough, but you tried. You gave him comfort. That matters. It doesn't feel like enough. I know, baby, I know. He was there through the hard nights, the self-doubt, the questioning of whether she was strong enough for this career. He never tried to fix it or tell her to quit. He just held her and reminded her why she'd chosen this path. Work consumed both their lives, but they made time. Sunday mornings were sacred farmers' market for fresh produce, cooking breakfast together, reading the paper in comfortable silence. These quiet moments sustained them through the chaos of their weeks. One Sunday, about 8 months into Jenna's nursing job, Carter seemed distracted. He burned the bacon, spilled coffee, kept checking his phone. What's going on? Jenna finally asked. Nothing. Everything's fine. Carter, he set down his phone. Walter's not doing well again, his heart this time. Doctors are saying he needs surgery, but he's refusing. Why would he refuse? Says he's lived a good life, doesn't want to be a burden. Carter's jaw was tight. Stubborn old man. Take me to see him. They went that afternoon. Walter was home, looking frailer than Jenna remembered, but his eyes lit up when he saw them. My favorite couple, he said, voice raspy. Jenna sat beside his bed, taking his hand. Carter tells me you're being difficult. Just realistic, sweetheart. Listen to me. Her voice was firm, her nurse voice. I've seen recovery from this surgery. The success rate is excellent. You could have another 10 good years, Walter, 20 even. Or I could die on the table. Or you could die in your sleep next week without it. Jenna squeezed his hand. Life is risk, but giving up is guaranteed failure. Don't rob yourself of more time. Don't rob Carter of more time with you. Walter's eyes went to Carter, who was standing in the doorway looking like he was barely holding it together. That boy loves you like a father, Jenna continued softly. Don't leave him if you don't have to, please. Walter was quiet for a long moment, then he sighed. You two make a hell of a team, you know that? Is that a yes? Carter asked, hope in his voice. Yeah, son. That's a yes. The surgery was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Carter was a mess leading up to it, snapping at work, barely sleeping. Jenna took a personal day to be there, sitting with him in the surgical waiting room. What if I lose him? Carter's leg bounced with nervous energy. Then we'll get through it. But Walter's strong and he's got the best surgical team. Jenna took his hand. Have faith. The surgery took 6 hours. When the doctor finally came out smiling, Carter nearly collapsed with relief. He did great. Recovery will take time, but his prognosis is excellent. Carter pulled Jenna into his arms, and she felt wetness on her neck where his face pressed. She held him while he cried with relief, this strong man who carried so much. Walter's recovery was slow but steady. Carter visited every day, and Jenna came when she could. She watched Carter help Walter walk the hospital hallways, patient and encouraging. Saw the deep bond between them, forged through years of shared work and mutual respect. You two should get married, Walter told them one afternoon. Matter of fact, Jenna choked on her water. Carter laughed. Working on it, old man. Well, work faster, I want to be at the wedding. After Walter was discharged and settled at home with a nurse, life settled back into rhythm. Jenna's 1-year anniversary at the hospital came and went. She was good at her job, loved by patients and respected by colleagues. Carter's company continued to grow, taking on projects in Boston and Philadelphia. They moved in together that fall, finding a beautiful apartment smaller than Carter's penthouse, but bigger than Jenna's tiny place. It felt like theirs, mixing her plants with his modern furniture, her colorful throws with his neutral palette. This is home, Carter said the first night, pulling her close on their new couch. Yeah, Jenna agreed, kissing him. It really is. Thanksgiving came and they hosted both their families. Jenna's parents and Carter's mother, who'd flown in from Arizona, filled their apartment with warmth and laughter. Walter came too, healthy and happy, telling embarrassing stories about Carter's early construction days. He nearly cut off his thumb his first week, Walter was saying. Thought he knew better than to measure twice, cut once. I was 17 and cocky, Carter protested, but he was grinning. Jenna watched him, surrounded by the people who loved him, and felt overwhelming gratitude. This life they'd built together, these people, this love, it was more than she'd ever imagined. Later, after everyone had left and they were cleaning up, Carter pulled her away from the dishes. Leave them. I want to show you something. He led her to the balcony. The city was quiet, peaceful in the late autumn night. A year and a half ago, I watched you save a man's life without hesitation, Carter said, taking her hands. You were completely soaked, kneeling in a puddle, and all I could think was that you were the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. Not because of how you looked, but because of who you were in that moment. Selfless, capable, kind. Jenna's heart was pounding. Every day since then, I've fallen more in love with you, the way you care for people, your strength during hard times, how you make me laugh when I'm stressed. How you see the best in everyone, including me. He pulled a small box from his pocket, getting down on one knee. Jenna Zimmerman, will you marry me? The ring was perfect, a simple diamond that caught the city lights. Jenna was crying, nodding before she could find words. Yes, yes, of course, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger and stood, lifting her off her feet as he kissed her. They were both laughing and crying, and it was perfect. They set the wedding for the following spring, wanting time to plan but not wanting to wait forever. Jenna's mother came up twice to help with arrangements. Monica was maid of honor, and Carter asked Walter to stand up with him as best man. Me, Walter had looked stunned. You're the closest thing to a father I've got, Carter told him. I want you up there with me. The months flew by in a blur of cake tastings, venue visits, and guest lists. Carter let Jenna make most decisions, happy with whatever she wanted. His only request was that the wedding be personal and meaningful, not ostentatious, despite his ability to pay for anything. They chose a historic mansion with gardens, small enough for their 100 guests. Jenna found a simple lace dress that made her feel beautiful. Carter's suit was custom but understated. The night before the wedding, they stayed apart per tradition. Jenna was with Monica and her mother, girls' night with champagne and face masks. Carter was with Walter and some of his crew, a quieter celebration. Nervous? Monica asked. Not even a little, Jenna admitted. I've never been more sure of anything. The wedding day was perfect. Clear skies, warm sun, flowers blooming in the garden. Jenna's father walked her down the aisle and she saw Carter at the end, looking devastatingly handsome and completely focused on her. The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. They'd written their own vows. Jenna, Carter began, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. You saved my life too that day, you just didn't know it. I was so focused on building things, on success, that I'd forgotten what it felt like to truly connect with someone. You reminded me that the most important things we build aren't made of steel and concrete. They're made of love, trust, and commitment. You're my home, my foundation, my everything. I promise to spend every day showing you how much you mean to me. Jenna's voice shook as she spoke her vows. Carter, you taught me what it means to be loved completely. You support my dreams, celebrate my successes, and hold me through my failures. You make me laugh, you challenge me to be better, and you make me feel cherished every single day. I promise to stand beside you through whatever life brings. To build our future together one day at a time. To love you with everything I have for all the days of my life. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden when they kissed as husband and wife. The reception was joyous. They danced their first dance to a song about coming home. Walter gave a toast that had everyone laughing and crying. Jenna's father welcomed Carter into the family. Monica embarrassed Jenna with stories from nursing school. As the night wound down and guests began to leave, Carter pulled Jenna aside. Happy, he asked. Incredibly. She looked around at their friends and family at this beautiful day they'd created. This is everything I ever wanted. Just wait. He kissed her softly. The best is yet to come. They honeymooned in Italy, 2 weeks of incredible food, historical sights, and time to just be together. They wandered through Rome, got lost in Venice, relaxed on the Amalfi Coast. No schedules, no obligations, just them. We should just stay, Jenna said one evening, watching the sunset over the Mediterranean, tempting. Carter wrapped his arms around her from behind. But we have a life to get back to, a beautiful life we built together. He was right. As wonderful as the honeymoon was, Jenna found herself eager to return, to their apartment, their work, their friends. The life they'd created back home, they settled into married life easily. They'd lived together long enough that not much changed, except now Carter called her Mrs. Wright, which always made her smile. They navigated careers and busy schedules, always making each other the priority. 2 years into their marriage, they started talking about kids. Not yet, but soon. Both wanted children, wanted to build a family together. 2 or 3, Jenna mused one night. Close in age so they're friends. I'll build us a house, Carter said. Something perfect for a family, with a big backyard and room to grow, in the city, near enough. I'm thinking about that property upstate, near your parents' farm. Good schools, safe neighborhood, but only 40 minutes from work. They drove up the following weekend to look at land. Found a beautiful 5 acres with mature trees and a view of rolling hills. Carter bought it immediately, and Jenna watched him sketch house plans that night, his excitement contagious. 4 bedrooms, he was saying. Office for you, 1 for me. Open kitchen because you love to cook. Mudroom for when the kids come in dirty. You've really thought about this. He looked up at her, love shining in his eyes. I think about our future all the time, what it will look like, what kind of parents we'll be, growing old together in that house. Jenna's hand moved to her stomach where she'd just recently started suspecting something was different. She'd planned to wait to be sure, but looking at Carter's excited face, she couldn't hold it in. You might want to start building soon, she said softly. Carter's pencil stilled. His eyes met hers, hopeful and questioning. Jenna, I took a test this morning. It was positive. He was across the room in a heartbeat, lifting her, spinning her carefully before setting her down with gentle hands. We're having a baby, we're having a baby. His kiss was tender and full of joy. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. I love you so much, I love you too. Carter threw himself into building their house with renewed vigor. He wanted it done before the baby came, and somehow he managed it. Jenna watched their home rise from the ground's strong foundation, solid walls, beautiful details. Carter's crews worked with extra care. Knowing this was the boss's family home, Jenna decorated while pregnant, painting nurseries and choosing furniture. They didn't find out the sex, wanting to be surprised. Carter insisted on pale yellow walls, saying it worked for either. "What if we have twins?" Jenna asked when she was 7 months along. "Then I'll build another nursery." Carter kissed her belly. "Whatever we have, however many, we'll figure it out." Walter visited often, offering opinions on everything and sneaking in baby gifts. He'd become like a grandfather already, excited and involved. Jenna went into labor 3 weeks before her due date, intense and fast. Carter drove like a maniac to the hospital, called her parents, called Walter. Their daughter was born just after midnight, 6 pounds of perfect baby. "She's beautiful," Carter whispered, holding her with careful, strong hands. "She looks like you." They named her Caroline Marie, and she was everything. Carter was an incredible father, patient, loving, getting up for night feedings without complaint. Watching him with their daughter made Jenna fall in love with him all over again. Life became beautifully chaotic. Work, baby, the new house. Friends visiting, family staying for weekends. Caroline's first smile, first laugh, first everything. When Caroline was 18 months old, Jenna found out she was pregnant again. Carter was thrilled, immediately adding another nursery to the house plans. Their son was born on a snowy January morning, healthy and loud. They named him Christopher James, and Caroline immediately adored her little brother. Years passed in a blur of school plays, scraped knees, bedtime stories. Carter scaled back his work, focusing on being present for every important moment. Jenna went part-time at the hospital, finding a better balance. They had a third baby when Caroline was 7, another girl they named Grace. Their house was full of noise and life and love. Walter was there for it all, an honorary grandfather who spoiled the kids rotten and taught them about construction. He lived to 92, long enough to see Caroline graduate high school, and when he passed peacefully in his sleep, the whole family mourned the loss of a remarkable man. "He had a good life," Carter said at the funeral, holding Jenna's hand, "and he got to see ours begin. That's all he wanted." The years continued their march. Caroline went to college for architecture, following in her father's footsteps. Christopher became a teacher. Grace was still deciding, trying everything with enthusiasm. Carter and Jenna celebrated 25 years of marriage in their beautiful home, surrounded by children and grandchildren. Caroline had given them 2 already. "Remember when you found me standing over Walter in the rain?" Jenna asked, leaning against her husband on their back porch. "How could I forget? That was the moment my life changed." Carter pulled her close. "Best day of my life, right up there with our wedding and when our kids were born. We built something good, didn't we?" "We built everything that matters." He kissed her temple. "And we're not done yet. Still got a lot of years ahead of us." Jenna smiled, watching their grandchildren play in the yard that Carter had built, in the home they'd filled with love. She thought about that rainy day so long ago, kneeling beside a stranger who would become family, meeting a man who would become her everything. "Yeah," she agreed, settling into Carter's arms. "A lot of good years ahead," and there were. They traveled once the kids were grown, took up hobbies together, volunteered in their community. Carter built homes for families in need, and Jenna worked in free clinics. They gave back, paid forward the blessings they'd received. They grew old together in that house Carter built, surrounded by the family they'd created and the love they'd nurtured for decades. And when people asked their secret to a happy marriage, their answer was always the same. "We chose each other every day, through the easy times and the hard ones. We built our life together, one day at a time, on a foundation of love and trust and respect, and we never forgot how lucky we were to have found each other." It was a simple truth, but it was theirs, and it was more than enough.